Well, here's the latest acquisition. A couple, 3 weeks ago. At least this is what I went to get. 99 Honda 400 TRX. Back in the day, I bought a brand new 2000. One of my favorite quads. Absolute favorite quads. Will put up with a ton of just fun horsing around. This thing's pretty cherry. Not mint, but it's pretty close. It had some sort of decal kit on it. It was off when I got it, but they put the seat cover on it too. And I think they told me it came that way when they bought it off the showroom floor. 50-some, or a gentleman was 70-some years old now. He got it when he was in his 50s. And then hurt his back, he said, parked it. So she sat for most of its life. Came from Cali. Said they lived by Glamis. So that was basically the only usage it got. Cleaned the carb. Put a battery in it. Changed the oil. Original tires. So they're not terrible. Original grips. Little wear. You'll have that. Hanging on to the thing. Got some brand new 501s. Best tire ever made. At least for this quad. Slide sideways nice because the bars. And then good forward traction. These are at least half. Stock. It's just all stock. And clean as a... Toolbox kit's gone. Got a little snow left. Pretty crusty stuff. Lots of ice formations coming out of the ground. So, we'll rip around a little bit. One of the trees got snapped out from the windstorms down in here. See what kind of traction we get. I thought it was missing this bolt, but there's not even a threaded hole there. Huh. The 2000 had all three. Unless it's snapped off. Haven't investigated too far. Oh, I threw an air filter in it. Because, you know, they just start falling apart. Pretty happy with it. $1,000. It wanted two. I mean, when I got there, it'd been sitting so long. It was one of those, looked like a barn find. Just all dusty and whatnot. So, this was a keeper. I took this off because it's the center post thing was snapped. So I'm going to try to plastic weld that or wire weld it. And then, I don't know, other than that, I've ridden it a couple times. Runs awesome. It doesn't even have that hiccup. Like, I remember the stock piped ones and everything. They'd have like a hiccup and then they just die on you. This one's not even doing that, so pretty happy. Fires right up. So not getting the greatest traction, but still fun attack. Fun to slide around. Yeah, I was trying to recollect. I'm pretty sure I paid like, I want to say $5,700. And I learned a lesson with that purchase. I was a young buck and wasn't too wise financially. Might not still be, but back then definitely not. I didn't understand the credit trap. those. Of course, I qualified. You know, too easy. So I gave it the green light, loaded it up in my 76 square body Silverado, and it was happy as shit. Just started out of really young, early in marriage, and kids were little, both my boys. But Dad needs something to play with. And if I remember right, I just sold an 87 250R TRX, and these just came out. And I thought, I'm not gonna get the first year. I mean, I trusted the brand. But man, I went and looked at it and I was like, well, that's a 250R, just 4-stroke. Pretty close anyway. And I love me a TRX 250R, so I thought, hey, I'm getting one. Anyway, back to the credit trap. Yeah, if I remember right, it was in the 20s interest rate. My first couple payments, I started studying that, and I was like, I'm paying just interest, which, you do right out of the gate. They want that stuff, but so I worked like the dickens, just get the money generated, just get it paid off. But to think, even back then, 25 years, 26 now, since it's the New Year's, or New Year, $5,700, and I just bought one almost, at least in the condition that I got rid of mine in, because I take pretty good care of my stuff. This one's probably a little better anyway, less hours. Paid $1,000, and now I'm, mid-50s. So like I said, just pretty tickled with it. Who doesn't like a good deal? Especially when you don't have to do a bunch of wrenching on it. Just typical stuff. Like cleaning a car, that's basic. But the gas nowadays, you almost have to do that if you don't ride it for, even a year. 2, definitely. Gets all gummy. But this is where this quad shines. Putting around, trail riding. I've had my fair share of enough 450s. I don't really care for them. Too high strung. I got a Cannondale 440 if I want to get too crazy. And they're just too damn much. Like, I don't mind going a little fast, but I want to be able to just putt around some too, So this quad seems to cover all those. Check all them boxes, as they say. In the simplicity, got the oil reservoir, no fan kicking on, no radiator, no fluid to keep up with. They run relatively cool. Even in the summer, they're not bad if you got some air flowage. Weird how life works that way. Sometimes things come full circle. And to think, it takes you back what you were doing at that time. And recollecting, that's so bizarre. Like, you can't remember everything. But you got a general idea. Like, I know I was still working construction, the union, and remodeling an old Victorian house. Just working all the time. Still made time to play. Some of our best times were the fall time. A few buddies started getting them. We probably had at least 4, We could have gathered a couple more, but it was always 4 of us. And basically, definitely Friday nights, you know, October-ish, late October if I'm right. This would be during harvest season. We called it Blinky. So what we'd do is we'd head out on the back roads. This is when I was in the Midwest. And we'd go ditch banging and, you know, ride the bean fields because they'd just been picked. So just wheelies for days, riding across the fields. But when night came, there's a section heading out of the small town we lived in, and it had like an S. Had one curve, then a straightaway, and another curve. Call it the S curve. There's about a quarter mile of stretch between the curves. Well, the last curve going into the town, there was a gravel road that you could take off on. We'd sit at, I don't know, probably a mile down that, half mile. And when a car came down the first S curve, we'd all sit there in a line and just start blinking our lights. And then, like I said, it'd be kind of, you know, moonlight. You can see a little bit. And if we got someone to bite and come towards us, then we'd all fire them out, take off, and tear off into the fields. And just thought it was funner than shit. Which it was. But we'd just disperse. But then we'd get, you know, we'd get some people wanting to just, you know, mess with us back. So, you know, like one story, car went down a ways, dropped down all off a slow or a gradual hill, going pretty slow, trying to see what the heck was going on. And then we all converged back to the road, and we're sitting there again waiting for the next car. I don't remember who it was. One of us turned around and was like, shit, there's a car coming. Had their headlights off. So they were trying to sneak up on us. So we fired them up, took off again. We just laughed forever. Never got caught. Not hurting anybody. And one other time the cops showed up. That one was kind of a predicament. We had to hunker down. We got down on a fence row and sat there forever because the cops would not leave. They had their flashlights out and their spotlights and just bound and determined to figure out what the heck was going on, which they probably knew. I mean, they knew there was kids up to something. But they finally took off, so we called it a night after that. They had us pinned down for quite a while. Good times. Yeah. Listening to Limp Bizkit, shit like that. Super good times. Lots of beer drinking. Your 20s, of course. These ice crystals or formations that come out of the ground, they're so tall that your front will just push. I'll find some here. Here's some. Look at that. I mean, they're tall as heck. I haven't tried the parking brake. Nope. The guy can get all of his gloves to work. Am I doing it wrong? I remember that was like one of the first things we took off. Yeah. Look at these things. Look how much of that comes out. Look how far down that is. So you get on top and it just, like, if you hit this wrong, it'll just shove you over. Crazy how they grow. I don't know. Something pretty cool. But yeah, it brings up other memories and shit too. Kids being little. You know, you're pretty early into life. Lots of energy. Gonna kill it. Kill the world. Well, not kill it, but make your mark, I suppose. Ambition, that's the word. Still got ambition, but it's just, back then it was, you didn't appreciate the energy you had. Even at my mid-50s, I still got pretty good energy, but not like back then. That energy was something. Something's been nice to bottle up, huh? I'm gonna leave it stock. I remember I bought like $1,000 Yosh pipe for full system for my 2000. They get pretty throaty. And that's when the quad wars started again. I mean, they were still kicking out Banshees, but the four-stroke scene just started to pick up after that, after these 400s. The Raptor came out, can't remember, I think 01. And a couple of our buddies got those. And of course put pipes on them, and man, they were barkers. You just felt like you were gonna get in trouble no matter what on those things. If you're riding around in town or something, or firing it up, obnoxiously loud. But yeah, I got the cops called on me quite a bit just on the 400. You know, be out riding around the yard with the kids or something, riding wheelies. They had just loved that shit. And of course, not all neighbors like to see people having fun or making noise. So here come the cops. Another one of those things, you don't really get it when you're younger. Because you got that energy. I'm not a crappy old bird. But you get more and more understanding of it. So yeah, enjoy your life. Enjoy your youth for sure. And enjoy your aging. That's my advice anyway. Never too old. Especially if you've already not mastered, but you know, you've had the previous experience on something. It's like riding a bike. I mean, as soon as I got on it, it was just, okay, know exactly what I'm dealing with. Had enough time on it. I don't know, I've probably had a handful of 400 EXs. This is the cleanest one, as far as closest to, you know, low hours. Yeah, we got a heck of a deal here this year. Natural spring popped out, so we proceeded to try to, well, did collect water off of it for garden. But it's just flowing down the road. We're gonna have 2 feet of ice on this son of a bitch. So it gets a little sketch going on that corner. There's some dirt. Man, it's just crusty. Yeah, look at that. I'm on dirt, but enough moisture in it, I can't even pump a wheelie there. At least don't in the clutch. You can't be carrying too much speed on this crap. Get out of shape. Can't stop it. I'll probably throw some cold cutters in the tires. The only thing that sucks about that is they just don't last very long. It just rips them out unless you put like a gazillion in. But it's night and day difference. That was Midwest riding. Like, should we have been in the fields? No. Farmers hate that shit. Now I'm in Idaho, and quite the difference. Another natural spring inside here. There's all kinds of riding here. So if you like to ride, don't be in the Midwest. You basically have, if you're lucky, riding parks, and they're not fun. Because you better have your head on a swivel. There's too much action. I haven't made my way out to California yet, or the dunes. That's on my list. So we'll see what I can pull off with that. Just a single guy gonna do stuff, or am doing stuff. I recommend being single. You can do whatever you want, whatever you want. No one's asking questions. No one's judging you. No one's saying, we got other plans. Days are over for me, and I'm glad. It was something to experience, but other than starting a family, yeah, I don't see the utility in it. Myself. Different for everybody. I'm greedy with my time. Time whore. Well, what's awesome about Idaho is the Midwest. When I was a kid, we used to get winters there, but you don't anymore. So here, at least you get snow. So you get to play in that. another thing that's badass about living in the mountains is this isn't mud. So it's rocky and sandy. Like, you get a little bit of mud, but nothing like the Midwest where the black dirt's there. Man, it really cut in a lot of your riding. Because you try to go ride and it's like, yeah, you can. You'd be carrying 100 pounds of friggin' mud around after no time. And then, of course, the cleanup. There's pressure wars for days. And then, of course, the hills. There's just non-stop hills. There's non-stop trees that need to be, you know, tended to. Like just down there, like it's just a mess. This was an old skidder road because they've logged this property. So I opened it back up because it was pretty much taken back by Mother Nature with down trees and growth. And then I've got some other trail work, you know, trails I've cut in, like a hill climb right here. And then we say there's single track trails, not quads. Just a lot of stumps and stuff, so quads don't really, like, I got some that I made drop downs. The ultimate goal would be to thin this out real well and then just have all kinds of hill climbing. But it's a lot of work. A ton of work. But you got to do it kind of systematically. Make your piles. Let them dry. Come back 6 months, a year later, then you can torch them off real well. It's a bear when you're trying to burn them green. It'll burn green, all the saps and whatnot in there. But when you get the moisture in the trees, it takes a lot of energy to get a fire started. So when it gets really dry in the summer, you cut them like this time of year or the spring, get your piles going, and let them sit till the rain starts late fall. Uh-oh, we might be out of gas. Hey, you can just throw a match on them then. I'm pretty sure we're out of gas. We got reserves. So we'll head back. It's hard to keep up with because, like I say, the last windstorm, I mean, you go to work and you got shit like that, you know. There's another one right here. And then the trails. You go right in the trail like these. Tons of carnage. There we go. Short-lived, but here we get one up the road. Just spin it. Yeah, the tire on the ice breaks traction and pivot sync. Let's go check this one trail, see if it's open. Yeah, if you want to learn wheelies, this is probably one of the best quads to learn it on. Pretty precise and tame. Tame enough. Predictable, let's say that. Must be open. There's side-by-side tracks. Maybe I have been on it. I see three-wheeler tracks. Oh no. I didn't know if we were gonna make that one. Too much wheel spin. But yeah. I'll finish these tires off and then put the new ones on. I love the 501s. Awesome quad. I'll keep this one for the rest of my life. I'm sure gonna try. Anyhow. 99 400EX. OEM as OEM can be. That I've seen. I've seen some other clean ones, but man, they go for some money. Especially if you get like the last gen. I think 14 was the last year. If you find a clean one of those, they're bringing some good dough here. But 1,000. That's why I'm keeping it. Too dang much fun. All right, I'll take care.